subscriber here. Today I'm going to answer the question everybody asks me. Every party, holiday, everywhere I'm at, there's always a permanent makeup artist around that will come up to me and ask, how do we remove permanent makeup, microblading, or micropigmentation, however you wish to call it, but it's a tattooed makeup. There are only two ways to do this. You can either use lasers or use non-laser techniques. And we have in the industry a problem where most people that carry out laser procedures only do laser procedures. And a lot of people that do non-laser procedures will only do non-laser procedures because they are permanent makeup artists and either don't have access to lasers, or the laws in their state or country will not allow them to train to use lasers properly. We're very lucky in England that we can, with the correct training, train to a level 4, 5, 6, and 7, so that we can safely use lasers, but that's not available to everyone. And the problem we have is that at whichever end of the spectrum you are, they tend to badmouth the other. So laser people say, oh no, non-laser techniques don't work. Non-laser people say, oh, it will kill your hair. They could blind you, The fact is that I use both, and they both work well, depending on who I have in front of me and what I need to do is what technique I'm going to end up using. So let's talk about non-laser techniques. Non-laser techniques, if you've ever had a problem with permanent makeup and you've gone back to your technician, they would have said, oh, I can either fix it or I can open up the skin, put a bonding agent in, and that will take the ink out. The important thing to remember is that you need to understand what this person is doing to you, because they're doing one or two things. They are either putting additional ink in the problem area, so they're either color correcting, or they might be putting on, say the tail was too high. What they might be doing is putting a skin color pigment to hide the mistake, and then doing the tail where it's meant to be. Well, that skin color pigment is going to age dreadfully, and it is the biggest challenge I have, because I have to remove it, and the molecules are so big and it's so thick that it's nearly impossible to remove. Can I do it? Yes. Does it take lots of treatments? Of course it does. So if you're gonna go back to your permanent makeup artist and she or he says, oh yes, no problem, I can fix that, stop them and ask, how are you going to fix this? Are you going to fix this by taking the ink out, which is, yes, we want that, or are you going to fix this by covering the mistake with more ink? That we don't want, because if you're already stuck with work that you're not happy with, what we need to do is to get that off of your face. We don't need to be putting more ink that's going to make the job of somebody like myself even more difficult. So with non-laser techniques, what you want to be looking at is, are they using their own tattoo gun, tattoo pen to open up the epidermis and then putting in this bonding agent, which will cross over, fall, and take some of the ink with it. That's kind of what we want. And as far as bonding agents go, you're going to go to 5 different technicians, and they're going to have 5 different bonding agents. Oh, I use this acid, I use this one that doesn't have acid, because the one that has acid is bad, and I've used the one that has salt, but no, oh, I don't use the one that's salt because it scars. They're all the same. So it's whatever your technician is comfortable with. She's going to think that that's the best, and provided that it's a sort of agent that we're opening up the skin, putting this in for it to cross over and then fall, happy days. Go ahead with that, because it can't really do any harm. As long as we're not putting any more of this pigment in to cover, to hide, to color correct. If you have bad work, get rid of it, get it out of your face, get it off. Don't be trying to color correct, because you're just going to make my job harder and harder. So that kind of explains the non-laser. Again, there's a zillion of these in the market. There's a zillion different ways that these girls have trained. That the gentlemen are, because a lot more guys now are coming to the industry. But ultimately, they're all the same. They all work. They're all good if it's done correctly. So just get an experienced technician and they'll be able to do this. But what they won't be able to do in 80% of the cases is remove the whole spectrum of the color. So they'll be able to fade the problem. And certainly they're making my life easier if then I need to use laser. Because the less ink molecules are in the problem area, the faster laser is going to cut through them. So never think, oh, I should have gone. I get people all the time that have gone to non-laser technicians. They've had a few problems. Then they come to me. I do a laser treatment and it's gone instantly. And they say, oh, I should have come to you first. And I say, yeah, well, it would have probably taken me 3 laser treatments if you had, because you haven't wasted your time by going and getting non-laser removal done. So I end up looking really, really good, but ultimately the tech before me has done a lot of the hard work. And then lasers, lasers generally my preferred method of removal. The reason is that if we get it just right, we generally don't cut through the epidermis, which makes the healing much, much easier. Anytime we use laser, you must understand that this is a controlled burn and it has to be treated like one. But the controlled burn is inside of the skin. It's where those molecules lay. That's where they explode. And for that reason, it does tend to be much gentler than the non-laser methods where we're just cutting through the epidermis. So it's an easier, more gentle way of removing the ink. All kinds of misconceptions out there. The misconception number one, oh, it's going to turn the ink black and then you can't get it out. Yes, in some cases it does turn the ink black, but yes, you absolutely can get it out. You just need to know what you're doing. Another misconception is, oh, it's going to kill your hair follicles or you're going to have no hairs on your brows. No, actually laser stimulates hair growth. It does not kill it. I could go into a whole science lesson about this, but there is another video on my channel that goes into huge detail as to why the hair follicles are not actually they're not actually killed. So that's another misconception. Another misconception is that it's very aggressive compared to non-laser techniques. It's not. It's much more gentle. And it's extremely effective. So I will use laser maybe 90% of the time. The only time I won't use laser is if a brow is extremely new or very, very saturated, very deep. I might want to get rid of that with non-laser. Or around lips, I use a lot of non-laser because I don't want the titanium turning. Nobody wants a black lip liner. The other time I will use non-laser is anytime we have that horrible beige that people have tried to correct with. That tends to be my go-to non-laser pigment. But for the most part, that I find the laser to be a lot gentler. Of course, this does depend on your technician. So if you're anywhere in the world, if you find someone that has been trained by me and has my certificates, they're safe. They are absolutely safe. And also all my students tend to have me at the end of the phone. So if they see something that they haven't seen before, they will always call me and ask for my advice. And I will take them through your particular case together. So my students are really good people to go to. And I've taught people in the Middle East, I've taught people in America, in Eastern Europe. So I do have quite a nice little pool of people scattered all over the world that have trained under me. And we're always very happy to pass on the details. But remember, it's 2 ways to remove. It's non-laser and laser. There's nothing else that's been invented. There's nothing else that works properly. If you're seeing this from a country where I don't frequent, try to find somebody near you that has trained with me, or there are other people that I haven't trained, but actually, you know what, they're really good and they know their stuff. Ask those difficult questions. Ask them to give you the science behind what it is that they're doing. See if they know what they're doing. Ask them about different lasers, but also you need to educate yourself. I'll do another video at some point as to the different lasers and what questions you should be asking, and because you can catch technicians out very quickly with very few questions that will tell you, does this person know what they're doing or not. This is it for my video. If you've enjoyed the information, please do subscribe to my channel, and till next time.